What is up, guys? Today I'm going to be talking about the Apple Vision Pro and why I returned it. So first, let's get into the unboxing, which is kind of like every other Apple product. It is very minimal and very aesthetic. Okay, so let's talk about my first impressions. So number one, this is the first time ever for me using any sort of virtual reality or mixed reality or any type of headset. I've never tried like the Meta Ray-Ban glasses. I've never tried any of the Meta VR headsets. Never even tried like any other type of virtual reality headsets. So it was definitely a new experience for me. Initially putting it on, I had it way too far down on my face, and so everything was blurry, which I was like thinking, is mine broken? So I didn't really know what I was doing. So first, I probably should have picked it up at the Apple Store so that I would have known how to use it. But I pre-ordered it on the morning that it came out, and I was actually in Bali when the first day that it shipped. So I was probably in Bali like a week or so after I got it. So I was kind of late to the party. So I just had it shipped to my house. So I put it on, everything was blurry. I finally realized that I need to push it up on my face so that everything is not blurry. And right away putting it on, after everything was clear, I feel like the field of view was kind of jarring. I guess I don't know why I thought the screen was gonna be more of a immersive, like IMAX type screen, like instead of like a field of view. And if you haven't put Apple Vision Pro on, it's more like a goggle field of view. That was a little bit jarring to me. I just expected just a more immersive screen, I guess. And it also didn't seem to fit my face very well. I had pretty bad light leak on my nose, which just Apple products in general, I guess, like, I don't know, I've had some other issues and it's maybe just my face, because I haven't heard a lot of other people talk about this. They've said it was super comfortable, but the AirPods Pro, when they first came out, they really hurt my ears. So the original AirPods that everybody said they hated, they don't stay in their ears, those fit perfectly. They stayed in my ears. I had no issues, but I think I was in the minority. I think a lot of people hated them and they didn't fit in their ear. So those worked great. When the AirPods Pro came out, I had a lot of issues. Like I bought them and I wore them for a couple days, and then I ended up returning those as well because they hurt my ears so bad, which I actually ended up getting them and just kind of like, I think over time the rubber tips maybe got a little bit looser so they didn't hurt my ears as bad, so I end up using those. And so maybe that's the same situation with the Apple Vision Pro. But there was a big light leak right on my nose, which was pretty distracting. So the two things that I first noticed was the field of view and the light leak. And I think that just kind of took away from my experience. So honestly, my first impression of the Apple Vision Pro was pretty underwhelming, which, like I said, I got it late, so I didn't end up watching a lot of reviews on YouTube before I actually tried it. And they're pretty raving and everybody is saying how amazing it was. So maybe like overhyped what I was actually expecting. But my initial impression of the Apple Vision Pro was pretty underwhelming, honestly. So let's talk a little bit about the setup. Like any other Apple product, I feel like it's pretty seamless, super clear on what to do. All you have to do is follow the on-screen prompts to set up. One issue that I did run into when setting it up was, I can't remember what they call it, but the retina scan, or like, I think it's a retina scan. So what it does, it's kind of like Face ID, but instead it scans your eyes. So when I tried to set that up, it would not work. For some reason, every time I tried to set it up, it just said failed. I'm not sure what the issue was. Maybe again, something that I was doing wrong since I didn't go to the store and get a full walkthrough. I was just kind of winging it. But I did have an issue with that. Later on, I did end up getting it to work, but honestly, like, it worked probably half the time. Every time I put it on, it would work sometimes to unlock, but 50% of the time I would have to put in the password to unlock the device. So not sure what was up with that. Maybe user error, but I don't know. Overall, a super easy process to set up. just like any other Apple product. All right, so let's talk about things that I loved. Number one, I think the coolest thing that I loved was the immersive videos. Again, this is my first time experiencing any sort of like VR headset, so I think that was like maybe the coolest thing that I haven't experienced. Like I've obviously went to a 3D movie with the glasses, but I feel like it's not the same as an immersive experience. So one of the first things I watched was, I can't remember what it was called, but it was an immersive film on Apple TV about a highliner. So all those shots were super cool, like gave me goosebumps and like almost made me like want to cry, because like honestly, like I'm a huge fan of action sports, and just the thrill of doing those things is just like amazing to me. And that honestly, like watching that video kind of gave me that same feeling of actually doing it, being on top of a huge cliff and walking across a high line. It's cool because like if you don't actually do those things, you can almost get a sense of like what it would feel like to actually do those things, which I think is like just like so cool to experience and like kind of convey that through filmmaking. I think it can be huge for that. Like the content coming out in a 3D immersive space could just be game changing for the film industry, because it just adds another element of feeling to that content. So I think that was one of the coolest things, honestly, I experienced with the Apple Vision Pro right off the bat. I bought the Apple Vision Pro not necessarily knowing what it would be really good for or what I wanted to use it for, and honestly, I just wanted to test it out. But the one thing that I was like, oh, I probably could use it for and see myself using it for is like, I've been looking into buying a new monitor, like the Apple XDR display, super expensive. And I was like, well, the Apple Vision Pro is actually cheaper than the XDR display. So potentially if I could use it as a monitor, then it would definitely be worth it. So that's really what I spent the bulk of my time with the Apple Vision Pro doing, is using it for work and having a multiple monitor setup, editing photos, editing videos, and just everyday tasks. Super cool to have all the layout of like, you can have your music over here, you can be editing photos over here, you can have your text messages over here, you can play stuff behind you. And I think that is, I was gonna say productive, but I guess it's almost like counterproductive in a sense that like I get distracted easily. So if I have a bunch of things going on at once, it was almost more distracting to me. I think it was a really cool experience. The cool thing is you can have that stuff behind you, so you're not constantly seeing it. And if you want to glance at something, change your music or whatever, you can have it behind you and then turn around, change your music, and then go back to what you're working for. So there's definitely a lot of potential there for working. I really enjoyed editing photos because you can get a really big field of view. I think my monitor is like 24 inch right now, so it's amazing having like a huge monitor right in front of you editing a photo. Having a big screen, you can place it closer or further away from you. I really enjoyed that experience in editing photos and then having that whole setup and having a bigger monitor. Also, I'm a huge minimalist, so I'd love to just have a clear desk and have Apple Vision Pro sitting there and then put it on and I have my monitors and everything. So that to me is amazing. I would rather have a clear desk and not have a bunch of clutter on my desk. So that is a huge pro in my book, and just the way I work, and I just like to have that clear setup and not have any distractions. And so you can really have one thing on your desk, a keyboard, a mouse, Apple Vision Pro tethered to my MacBook, and you know, that's a perfect setup. Unfortunately, I wasn't taking any trips, so I didn't get to travel with it, but I think that is another huge pro flying. I travel a ton, and a lot of times I feel like I'm a pretty big guy, so like trying to work on an airplane is kind of tough because like with a laptop and everything, it just feels very squished, and the screen, typically the tray is pretty low. And so trying to see my screen and edit and like or whatever else I'm working on is just, it's super uncomfortable, and I feel like I just end up not working on a plane because of that reason. So I think this is where Apple Vision Pro would shine, is just throw that on. You can have a big screen right in front of you. I don't have to be looking down, and like I find myself hunched over trying to work, and then it's super uncomfortable. So being able to sit up straight and look straight forward at a screen while I'm working on a plane is amazing. Same thing with watching a movie or shows or anything on that. I think it'd be super cool to just throw on and watch a movie while you're just chilling on a plane. So I think that's a huge pro for Apple Vision Pro. But let's talk about some of the things that I didn't like about it. First off, like I said, the main thing that I wanted to use it for was working, and not being able to have multi-windows on Mac was kind of disappointing. You obviously can open your Mac and then have other Apple Vision Pro apps open at the same time. But honestly, like editing videos, photos, doing a bunch of things on my Mac, I really would have liked to have like multiple windows for that. So like if I had a full screen window of my picture, and then I could have Lightroom open in another window with adjustments, or even for editing videos or doing different tasks like dragging stuff, like a lot of like file management. So like you can't drag things across from one app to the other. So if you're in files on the Apple Vision Pro and then you're trying to drag it to your Mac, that continuity isn't there, which I assume they're gonna build that in eventually, but that wasn't in there right now. So obviously you can make the screen bigger, the Mac screen really big, but then you're kind of like looking around, and I would like to have two smaller windows where I can drag things across from each other and do different tasks like that. So that wasn't a huge issue, but it was a minor inconvenience. Another thing is, going back to the traveling thing, it's not super small. So like I already carry a ton of stuff while traveling, usually multiple cameras, my laptop, my iPad, which obviously I could ditch my iPad if I brought the Apple Vision Pro. In order to carry that onto a plane, it's another whole bag, or they're one of your personal items. So I don't think I would bring it while traveling very often, just because it'd be somewhat of a pain. So I think eventually when it gets smaller, it'd be really good. But at this point, I don't see myself really traveling with it at all. And the last huge negative is just the price. And I'm not really like talking about price as in like, I totally understand, like I'm all for like innovation and I'm okay with paying for that. So like, I don't think it's necessarily overpriced because it's a first gen product. The research and development and everything that goes into developing a product like that is probably crazy. I mean, I don't know, but like assuming that's crazy, that how much money they've spent developing this product. So the price isn't an issue. I don't think they're overcharging for it, but just in the sense of like how much I found myself using it over a week or two, I just don't see the value in that. I honestly would rather probably spend that money on a monitor. I think I would use it a lot more than just the Apple Vision Pro. But the biggest negative for me, and honestly the reason why I'm actually returning it, is because it gave me the worst headache ever. Like I tried multiple times to wear it, but I would wear it for about like 30 minutes. And again, this comes back to like not fitting my face, I think, properly. And I tried both the different light seals in there. I tried to tighten it and loosen it. I tried multiple different ways. I also tried both bands. So I tried the solo knit band and the band that goes over the head to give you a little bit more support. And it just gave me the worst headache ever. Like the most I think I wore it in one time was like 30 minutes. And after about 15 minutes, I could start feeling it like really pushing on my forehead right here. And obviously maybe I have a really weird forehead because I haven't heard anybody really talk about this. It didn't necessarily feel like it was the weight that was an issue. It just like, it really just pushed on my forehead right here. And after I pushed through like the 15 minutes, and honestly at 30 minutes, I couldn't keep it on my face anymore. Like it hurt so bad. And then at that point, like I had a headache probably for like the next 3 hours, which was kind of surprising. There's some people that said like they've worn it for like hours and hours and hours straight and they had no issues. So maybe it's just my forehead, but ultimately that's why I'm returning it, is because it hurt my head and I can't wear it. So every time I wanted to wear it, I'd put it on for a little bit and just have to take it off. And I guess I could have went to the Apple store and saw if maybe, because when you initially buy it, they have you scan your face and maybe that scan was messed up. So I guess I should have took it to the Apple store and asked for advice, but just with all the things that like not really thinking I'm gonna travel with it, the multi windows on Mac, and just give me a headache, I was just like, I'm just gonna return it. Maybe in the future, if they come out with version 2, I will try it again and then maybe buy it at the Apple store and go through a demo with them to make sure that the face seal was a proper fit, because maybe that scan was messed up when I ordered it. But I guess we'll see. I'll definitely be buying version 2 when that comes out. I doubt it's gonna come out anytime soon. One other thing I wanted to talk about, and I think it's not a negative or a positive, but it's kind of the mindset that I'm in, is I've just been feeling like the past couple months that I want to spend less time with technology. And I don't know if this is just me getting old or what, but I really have been consciously limiting the time that I spend with technology. I went and I deleted Instagram off my homepage and all social media off my homepage, so I'm not just mindlessly opening my phone and clicking on Instagram and mindlessly scrolling, which is honestly a huge tip. I didn't even delete it off my phone. It's just like sometimes I found myself just like opening my phone and on Instagram mindlessly scrolling. So like just deleting off my homepage has honestly helped, because I unlock my phone and then it's not there. So then I just lock my phone again. But that comes back down to like my point of like just less screen time, and Apple Vision Pro is obviously going to force more screen time because you're staring at a screen constantly. So I think the space that I'm in right now with less technology, it just really wasn't a product that I wanted to use on a regular basis. I hope you guys liked watching this video. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.